give all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Echad HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles who are elders who rule well. Blessed salutations to you, brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. This Rob Mouth of the Nebraska camp, and as you can see in post-production, I got a viral picture of Trump, which he actually tweeted himself, of him portraying himself as the Lord, or I would rather say Jesus, you know, because thank the Most High and His Son that, you know, this is a mystery of His real image and name, you know, because Esau try to play on the Lord, man, you know. But besides that, you know, I really wanted to get into this mysterious figure that's above his head, okay? And I ended up going into it, and some says, you know, Lucifer, Apollos, but I was doing some research, and I came across a Greek god called Hecate, Hecate. It says a powerful Greek goddess of magic, witchcraft, the night, moon, ghosts, and necromancy, often associated with crossroads, torches, and dogs. She serves as a liminal guardian between worlds, guiding souls and protecting homes. Known as a triple goddess of maiden, mother, and crone, she is honored today in Wicca and neo-paganism, you know, so, you know, which is the queen of the witches. But if you look at, you know, the Kate, that demon or that false deity, by the crown is what, you know, made me want to stop and you know, speak on it, because, you know, even though because that God could represent Apollos with the, you know, the liberty and freedom, you know, it can go back to here, you know, because at the end of the day, these especially Edom, they practice witchcraft, whether people want to believe it or not. And Babylon is full of idols. That's why the Lord had referenced this place to that, you know what I'm saying? Just like going into Egypt, you know, Egypt going back to servitude and bondage, and Sodom going back to you know, alphabetism, okay? So the Lord will reference, you know, cities based off their characteristics. Nineveh, you represent, Babylon could be, America could be called Nineveh, all right, known for its as a merchant city, okay? So these different gods, and that's why the Lord said, you know, He made us upright, though we sought out many inventions. And the reason why I'm segueing into this is because us as Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans in general are in Babylon, and, you know, the same as ancient Babylon, you know, the beginning of idols was the creation of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication. And this is the reason why the Lord turned His back on us and gave us a bill of divorce, you know. And I get it, Yahweh Shai died for our sins, and that's nothing light. So I'm not saying in that reference, but what I'm saying is that don't mean that the Lord, because we are redeemed, you know, and this for the Christians, that don't mean that you can still worship these idols, all right, and be into these mindsets. And when you go into the understanding, like, these idols take certain energies and worship, you know, just like we go into Hecate. Let's see here. I'm gonna look up form of worship. It says Hecate, or Hecate, is worshipped as the goddess of crossroads, witchcraft, and the night, often honored through devotion to her roles in protection and transition. Modern worship includes, and that reminds me, just speaking on that picture, how they got him, you know, it looks like it could be your boy, you know, the Sting guy, dead, and he's over him, and that deity above him could be representing that God, and he's pretty much saying that he transferred him over. That man could have been sacrificed, and he's sitting there saying that indirectly on Twitter. They do that type of shit, man. All right. It says modern worship includes maintaining altars with keys, torches, all right, Lady Liberty, or black stones, practicing divinations, performing meditation, shadow work, and leaving offerings of garlic, eggs, or cake at crossroads during the dark moon. Okay. Traditionally, Hecate meals were placed at three-way crossroads during the dark moon to appease her and the restless spirits she leads. Okay. It says altars and symbols. Devotees build altars using colors like black and red, orange, reddish orange, featuring symbols such as torches, keys, daggers, serpents, or representations of a triple form image. You know, which is also going to that, you know, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, that Trinity. You know, just connecting dots. Not saying that these are, you know, supposed to be, but that crown and that's transitional, and him doing that, you know. Yeah, so it's making a big speech, you know, almost like he's ushering in some of them warlocks, you know. It could be many things, but it's making a big statement for him to play the mediator for somebody passing away, and then there's that, you know, that god Hecate, the false god Hecate, sitting above him in the shadows, along with troops, because they don't make no sense for that crown to be on that person's head, you know. But you know, I want to get a couple precepts, and we'll close it out. All right. And the main, like I said, the main one I want to get is Jeremiah 23. It says, "Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, power of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people. Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doing, saith the Lord." Because a lot of these, you know, and this, even though it's directed toward our people, you know, I wanted to read this because this kind of describes our current plight, you know, from the elect to the 2/3, and these pastors are representative of these false prophets, mainly in the churches, and there's false pastors and false prophets that dress up as Israelites, because they're not telling nobody about the MOTB or things like that. You know, they don't want to tell you the true name of the Lord. They still want to call on Christ, and you see how Trump playing with that visage, you know, and have people following, you know, these gods, and at the end of the day, regardless if they say you're following that specific God, them gods have cultures and ways of worship, you know, just like Aries, you know, niggas and gangbanging, that's your God. You know what I'm saying? It ain't, because that's a god of war and fighting and shit. You know, and there's a devotion and libation. A lot of time when niggas pouring out their liquor, that's how you put out devote unto that God, that deity. There's certain mindsets, specifically as a mindset in a way of life, something that you would call a principle, or your culture, like black culture, all right, American culture, okay, you know, eating and living vicariously, you know, just consuming, you know, that goes back into the Queen of Heaven worship as well, consuming and prosperity, okay. You know, you got Jupiter, you got all these gods that have certain ways of living, okay, that you have to do on a daily. Like when you wake up, you gotta live like this. You wake up and you got a fucking vision board, and I am this and I am that, and you go into church to put money into an altar, into a bin, to say, okay, if I put $5 in, I might get $10,000 back, like it's some kind of bundle deal, you know. Like you're not following the Lord and worshiping him in sincerity and in truth. These deities require, you know, like the scriptures say, thinking gain is godliness, because you're following, the god Diana, and you were taught that the visage of that god is Jesus Christ or Buddha or whatever thing that make you believe that avenue is real. Gang banging, whatever God allows you, whatever visible God, ox or stone, Jacob follow it to support their way. I've been in churches and they do that all the time, man. They'll sit there and jump from church to church because one church let them smoke, another church, let them be a alphabet community, and they cherry pick what church they want based off of the lifestyle they want to live. That was my experiences in going to churches, and people still do that today, and they just choose. Now they're choosing people via podcasters and personalities, but these people are just avenues to those deities. Because if you notice, all of them are boxed in and have the same format of worship, where the Lord is universal. He'll have you go to war. He'll have you be at peace. You know what I'm saying? He'll have you do good to others. He'll have you do good unto yourself. There's no fixated, I have to do this every day in order to make it rain or do this. All you gotta do is keep the laws and be good to others and be good to yourself, But a lot of these other ones, they have like certain illogical rules, okay? So, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to continue. It says, verse 4, it says, "And I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith the Lord." And we're those shepherds. The Negroes, Latinos, the Native Americans, the elect of those, the ones that are on the highways and byways, that's speaking this truth in the right spirit, man. It says, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper and shall execute judgments." So I want to jump down a little bit. So I'll jump down to verse 9. It says, "My heart within me is broken because of the prophets. All my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, and like a man whom wine hath overcome, because of the Lord and because of the words of his holiness. For the land is full of adulterers, for because of swearing and and the land mourneth. The pleasant places of the wilderness are dried up, and their course is evil, and their force is not right." So yeah, the Lord, we in a situation, and we fell out of our culture. We fell out of our way. We fell out of, seeking the Lord first, all right, through all these other gods, all right? People are too busy with these guys thinking that it's a lifestyle. You're too busy with making money. You're too busy with your family. You're too busy with whatever God you're serving, even if it's yourself, okay? But people are too occupied, and the prophets and pastors are the ones that's supposed to make sure that the flock is directed and redirected, and they're not doing that. Natives not doing that. They're not talking about the MOTB. They're not talking about the will of the Heavenly Father. They're talking about the end. Like, yeah, we just keep on maintaining, and then boom, the end is going to happen. Same thing with Johanna. They're not talking about no progression. They're not talking about none of the middle part, because they don't know what's going on. All right, all they know is rules. All they know is the law. Because they don't know no more than what prophets have told them. When the Spirit was on them to receive it, and they don't know. That's all they know. Is like there's no continual connection. That's why they're resting on the law so much, because it's going to be just fixated. It's going to be the same when you leave and come back. So you could just keep on saying that, keep on fighting to live that lifestyle, and you don't have to make any adjustments, okay? But the Spirit is like the wind, and these guys don't walk in the Spirit, all right? So it says, verse 10 says, "For the land is full of adulterers, for because of swearing, the land mourneth." You know what I'm saying? And this our land is cursed. We're cursed. Okay, Deuteronomy 28. The adultery goes into taking those deals. Because that's a historical black thing, is that they got us through the churches, man. All right. It says both prophet and priest are profane. Yea, in my house have I found their wickedness, saith the Lord. Wherefore their way shall be unto them as slippery ways in the darkness. They shall be driven on and fall therein. For I will bring evil upon them, even the fear of their visitation of the Lord. Now, the thing is I'm talking about Trump and, you know, the picture. What I was trying to get across, Salaki, for jumping and segueing so fast, is that this country is led off of sorcery and demonic energy. All right. Again, that's why this place is called Babylon, because it's full of gods, false gods and false deities. And again, the beginning of the idol worship was the beginning of spiritual fornication. So if you connect the dots, this place in ancient Babylon, how the Lord reacted to that, you'll see that, you know, the Lord definitely don't take kindly to worshiping other gods and putting other things first outside of him. All right? Because that's the first commandment, put no other God before him. And people do, not even knowing it, because you've sought out many inventions. You've seen the ways of Babylon, and just like Jake did in ancient time of Babylon, specifically in the Maccabees, when they said we have had, through our life, we have much bitterness, you know, through the first chapter, First Maccabees, the first chapter, for our time of departing from Rome, they said they had much bitterness, but upon returning, they could do better. So pretty much they incorporate themselves into the Roman way of thinking, which ended up into that Gentile mind state that Paul was fighting for Israelites to get out. He wasn't fighting to get no heathens, wake no heathens up. All right, he was fighting to wake Israelites back up to their culture, because they went to serving other gods because that lifestyle required it. Okay? Ain't no difference when somebody pass up at church, you cross your heart. Certain things are more ingrained habits, but certain things, most of the things in America is got other gods. And that's why I wanted to permeate Trump in that picture, to show that, you know, this whole system is got warlock and sorcery all in it, man. But yet Jake of our fold, our stock, IUIC and ISHBK won't call us conspiracy theorists, like these niggas ain't warlocks and witches. Man. But Jeremiah 23:13, it says, and I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesy in Baal and cause my people Israel to err. You know, and the preachers and pastors, a lot of them are political, or they'll try to get you to take that jab, or they try to get you to do many things that's not appropriate, man, and against the Lord's will, man. All right, and who's to say that because them prophets were bought off, all right, they signed the decree, they're not supposed to be yoked and make no deal with no heathen, but they did through that 501c3, you know. So who's to say that these IUIC and NATNM aren't compromised? They have to be, because they're compromised through legislation now. They signed a contract, so they legally can't say certain things. That's just common sense. That's like an underground artist and a regular rapper. They have more, underground artists have more liberty, more freedom to say and go and bring out songs that you'll never hear. And we're the underground artists, man, bringing out the songs. We're the SoundCloud artists, man, piping them songs that ain't gonna get played on the radio. But IUIC and the mainstream acting like they got that underground vibe. They J. Cole. They ain't really giving you that shit. They just giving you the persona of it because it sells. Okay? But continuing on, Jeremiah 23:14, it says, I have seen also in the prophets of Jerusalem a horrible thing. They commit adultery and walk in lies. They strengthen also the hands of evildoers, that none doth return from his wickedness. They are all of them unto me as Sodom, and even the inhabitants thereof as Gomorrah, which is death. All right, because you know, a man lie with another man, it's an abomination. They should surely be put to death. Okay. And he said they're adulterous, you know, like if your woman ain't in the truth, you come in the truth, they could separate that shit. That's adultery, man. All right, evildoors, strengthening evildoors, chilling with the polite in them, you know, the black conscious community, after they shot up the Bible and disrespected the Lord, you know, got all kind of niggas off in y'all Passover. Y'all got to talk about, y'all got to drag them out. You shouldn't even have nobody in your Passover to begin with. You supposed to be prudent, man. To ask somebody you got to drag out. Who the hell you letting in there? Just letting anybody in y'all shit, man. But, you know, going on and on. But I want to go down because I don't want to get too much. I want to get back on the point I wanted to get on. I'm going toward the end of the chapter. So like, I'm going to go into this last little part. Lord's will, got time. But it says in Jeremiah 22:13, it says, woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness. Like I was saying, you know, our people built their houses up. They built their life, their legacy, for lack of better words, up through, you know, the American way. Okay? It says, and his chambers by wrong, that useth his neighbor's service without wages, and giveth him not for his work. You know, and a lot of them, you know, I've went to church and worked at churches, and niggas say have your ass working for free. Talk about as the Lord's doing this shit. Fucking clean over you. I remember that, man. And that changed my perception of church. You know, we putting all my time. I used to walk to revivals and shit, and then, you know, I was hurting one day and I asked that dude for some food. He said, well, the Lord got you, you know, James. And I was like, oh, that's fucked up. All this shit all the time I've been giving to y'all. You know, and I didn't do it in that name of that. I was like, damn. You know, y'all keep telling me to give. It was y'all turn. It don't work like that. But they do that all over, man. You know, let alone within our when I say our, I'm talking about Israelites. You know, I ain't talking about GMS. I'm talking about just Israelites in general. You know, with the comfy camp, they you know, used to be having them dudes working them oil tables and all that, and working and extorting them dudes, man. Okay, it says that saith, I will build me a wide house in large chambers, and cut him out windows, and it's seated with cedar and painted with vellum. You know, just like, you can't be using brothers, man. The ministry, even within the charity, is used for different things. Okay, it's used for the ministry in itself, because it might be a lowly brother or a highly brother. It's not meant for maintenance. You know, but I want to jump down. It says, verse 20 says, go up to Lebanon and cry, and lift up thy voice in Bashan and cry from the passages, for all thy lovers are destroyed. And them lovers is talking about these false gods that the Lord's going to take down, man. It says, and I spake unto thee in thy prosperity, but thou saidest, I will not hear. This have been thy manner from thy youth. Thou obeyedest not my voice. The wind shall eat up all thy pastors, and thy lovers shall go into captivity. Surely then shalt thou be ashamed and confounded for all thy wickedness. Because Jake ain't gonna really get right until things get destroyed. It's like these women, they ain't gonna change until this system goes down, until child support goes down, you know, Section 8 goes down, alimony, all of the benefits, because they're deeply embedded in their wickedness. If I say this, they'll say some type of way that I'm being male chauvinist or some type of, you know, like, and they have this sisterhood because it works to their benefit, and they'll have no dignity to put off the world, the pleasures for a season, and be honorable unto the Lord. It says, O inhabitant of Lebanon, that markest thy nest in the cedars, how gracious shalt thou be when pangs come upon thee, the pang as of a woman in travail. All right. Keep jumping down a little bit, you know, because man, it's like, I'm gonna look it up again. I want to look up this last little verse, because people are trusting in ultimately the shadows of Egypt, for lack of better words. You know what I'm saying? Going to Isaiah the 30th chapter, which is where our people are now. And this place is a breach that's ready to fall. And they don't understand. The thing is, there's so much in the trick bag, they don't understand that they're following after false gods, false idols, you know, and this picture says all that. It says that how these politics and American way is really way of witchcraft, man, way of a false god and many other false gods. All right, this place allows all kind of wickedness in adultery, spiritual fornication at that. All right. I'm going to get into Nahum chapter 3:1, and we're going to close it on that. It says, woe to the bloody city. And that bloody city is talking about Babylon. There's a lot of abortion deaths. There's a lot of regular, wicked deaths. There's a lot of medical deaths. A lot of hate, deaths out of hate. This place probably got more innocent bodies on it, under it, than any fucking country in the world, man. You know, this place probably got more wicked blood poured out, in innocent blood poured out on it than any country in the world, man. You know, ain't no like natural deaths. It's all kind of wicked deaths that probably didn't happen on this soil in comparison to all these other worlds, man. It says, woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. All right. The noise of a whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels and the prancing of horses and the jumping of chariots. The horsemen lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear. Because, you know, you hear all this rattling, but eventually this place gonna go down, man. All right. And it says, and there is a multitude of slain and a great number of carcasses, and there is none in of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcraft. You see? So this place is going to go down, and those who are associated with it, those who are joined with them, shall be thrust through. And hopefully it helps Jake to understand that the American way is really a way of an idol in many forms. All right? From gangbanging, gangster rap, to feminism, to being a businessman, to, you know, being in the army, you know, or being in the army, because you're not calling the name of the Lord. You're not doing what King David and King Saul and them did. All right, y'all not fighting in the name of the Lord. Y'all call it Christian nationalism, but ain't nobody gonna sit there and do that right after they claim that God called them to do this, like it's some type of spiritual war. But then pass all kind of alphabet, even Kim Jong-un, you know, homosexual war. Even Kim Jong-un getting in on it. Y'all talking greasy, man. Come on now. It's all fucking propaganda and hearsay, but in all essence and reality, these elites are playing a puppet master to these countries, mainly America, because it's a well-oiled machine, and it's the hammer that of the earth for these rich elite, which are the ones that really be worshiping these demons and idols, and their handmen like Trump and all them. They gotta, you know, do certain type of form of worship and humiliation, or something that they could blackmail them with, so that way they could, you know, have them lined up in their pockets. You know, they all gotta do it, you know, to make that transition. But these elite are the ones that really believe in it, you know, and really be doing it. A lot of these motherfuckers that are in their pockets are just greedy for money. You know, your P. Diddy's and all that, just greedy for money. Some of them really into that shit. You know, some of them really believe in it too, though. You know, you got your little Lady Gagas and all that. You know, but I digress, man. This place is going to be destroyed for all this wickedness and fornication. And Jake need to examine their ways, and examine ancient ways, and examine the ways of the Lord, to make sure that you're walking the right way and don't get caught up in these streets. Shalom.
The talent will show up to a place for a video shoot. Everything is already laid out. The talent will have no idea that they're in a ritual. Sometimes they change the flooring digitally. When they showed up, they wasn't standing on the pentagram. But when the video come out, they are. Every one of these groups has some type of evil saint